Hare Krishna. Welcome to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. Four and five, right? So we will all start with Mangal Charan. Jai. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vangshakalpasya Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhashu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakte Bhavati Neshtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripadamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jai. So in continuation of our journey of understanding these three chapters, chapter 3, 4 and 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, what we are beginning to see is a pattern of how this Bhagavatam story is being told. We talked about the scene where there is Suta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishi and how that is a Sankirtan. That is a scene of Sankirtan where devotees are getting into this mood of let us share Krishna consciousness and also be self-realized, learn ourselves but share as well, both, right? And then so there was an aspect of devotee care there, and so we touched upon that. We discussed about how as we are taking our journey in Krishna consciousness, we get a change of our heart. We first get to hear Krishna consciousness, and then when we are listening, through the process of listening, our heart starts changing. And so that process of Sambandha Videya Prayojana, that entire process is considered a pure devotional service. Not just devotional service, but pure devotional service. And that change of the heart, that journey is very important. And we see this from Parikshit Maharaj when Sukadev Goswami is explaining everything to him. Right? So in that scene of Sukadev Goswami has explained to Parikshit Maharaj that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost. Parikshit Maharaj is sitting and listening and saying, yes, indeed. Having realized this, he is now changing his vision. He is now looking at the whole world through this lens of Krishna consciousness. And then we see, he then asks the most basic question because he wants to reaffirm his knowledge. He reaffirmed what he knows about, please explain this process of creation, this time with Bhakti Yoga as being the topmost process. Right? The Shrishti Tattva. This is what Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur calls it, the Shrishti Tattva. Explain the Shrishti Tattva to me in a way that I can now start seeing Krishna in the Shrishti Tattva. And we see Sukadev Goswami, we talked about the aspect of devotee care, how Sukadev Goswami is seeing this enthusiasm of Parikshit Maharaj, that okay, he wants to understand this material manifestation, but with the lens of Krishna consciousness, right? So he starts that journey. He first starts by establishing Krishna in the center. The Krishna is the pillar of everything that Krishna, he provides and he gives. And yesterday we were getting into that whole how as in part of devotee care, the one who's giving the care wants to keep Krishna in the center of the conversation. And the one who's listening and one who wants care is ensuring that he is taking Krishna on and bringing Krishna into his life. I can see in my own personal journey, and I know pretty much every one of you as devotees will have this journey that when Krishna first enters your life, Krishna takes a very small space in your house. I still remember as a young child that we used to have Krishna in a small wooden box. So it was only about I would say maybe 10 inches by maybe 12 inches, like a small box, red color box. And in that red color box we had little Krishna, Laddu Gopal sitting there, right? And so I vaguely remember that Krishna started in our house in that small spot. And then after many years, now when I go back home, for me Middle East is home, so when I go back home, Krishna has an entire living room. The entire living room belongs to him. So he is pretty, and practically in every room his picture is there. So he's pretty much taken over the whole house. So that's how Krishna consciousness is, and Krishna is. Krishna is Hari, right? So when he takes everything. So then Krishna, and you will see in all of your houses, I've seen, devotees, some people who started newly as devotees, initially in their house, there is practically no picture of Krishna. Then you'll start seeing, maybe small, picture of Krishna coming out from a magazine. Next thing you know, after a few years, Krishna is in every room, everywhere, just Krishna is all over, just taken over. So that is Krishna consciousness, right? So Sukadev Goswami, he's presenting Krishna to Parikshit Maharaj. The Parikshit Maharaj is willing to take Krishna on and spread that Krishna consciousness all over in his knowledge, right? So the two-way communication. And so we then see in presenting this story, in how Sukadev Goswami is presenting this story to Parikshit Maharaj about how this creation takes place, he takes him back to when a certain situation like this happened previously. And so this one aspect we can pick up, that when we are dealing with another devotee and if we are trying to resolve a doubt, there should be some basis, right, in Shastra. The basis must be there, that okay, this advice is being given, but this advice is being based on Shastra. Nowadays, it's a bit of a hard position for us as devotees, because if sometimes you want to give someone a suggestion, we will try to give practical examples when we are giving the suggestion. Oh, look, see what happened to Bill Gates, or see what happened to Elon Musk, or see what happened to those people who did not wear face masks. Now, they got the virus. So we will take contemporary examples. But if viable, we should always try to find an example that is also based on Shastra. So that what happens is our advice has a Vedic position, and then of course the contemporary position gives somebody connectivity. Like you're able to connect to this contemporary position, but also you can see that connectivity in the Vedic time. So when you think about was there ever viruses spread during the Vedic times? Yes. When we read Mahabharata, when we read Ramayana, you see famines are coming, diseases are flourishing, right? And then we see many times Lord Ram killing. I forgot the name of that demoness. She had practically taken over that entire jungle, and her name is T. I've named like she had long arms and big face. I forgot her name, but she had these, Lord Ram then goes in and he kills her. And so she had actually, there was, disease and pestilence in that whole jungle. And then when Lord Ram kills her, that jungle takes on its original form. So these things do happen, right? And then it is explained that, sadhus do stay away from that place. So sometimes if there is, a place where disease is there, then sadhus can stay away. It doesn't mean the sadhu has to go in every time, right? So, we can see from Shastra that there are scenarios when these things are okay. So it gives us a basis of our activities that are based on Shastra, Guru and Sadhu. So we see all three of them getting aligned. Yeah. So the story that is being presented by Sukadeva Goswami, he takes Parikshit Maharaj back in time. And he says, once upon a time, Brahma was sitting and his son came to visit him. Right? His son is Narad Muni. And Narad Muni is a very exalted personality. We know from Brahma's lineage there are two types of children that he created. He created the ones who followed the Pravritti Marga and then the ones who followed the Nivritti Marga. Right? So the ones who engaged in the material world and still try to set up the Vedic civilization, and then there are those who went down the route of being Nivritti. So we see in Nivritti Marga, we see the four Kumaras, we see Narad Muni, and what you find interesting in Bhagavatam is generally the conversations when we have with Brahma, you will generally see Narad Muni is involved or the four Kumaras are involved, right? So the people in the Nivritti Marg get to have this very intriguing conversation with Lord Brahma. In fact, even Priyavrata, he was actually in the part of Nivritti. Then Brahma talks to gets him to engage with the material world. So the point here being made is that we are all children of Krishna, all of us, right? There are those of us who are engaged in the material world, and then there are those who are engaged in completely spiritual activities. Of the two, the ones who will get closer to Krishna will always be the ones who are engaged in spiritual activities. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that we as devotees, as all of us are sitting here, does it mean that, we are doomed to be in the material world? No, it's not that. It simply means that we have to change our vision. It doesn't mean we have to change our activities. We simply have to change our vision and we can get full awareness of Krishna. So the reason why I point this out is we will start noticing contradictions, like what is glorious in the spiritual, in the material to spiritual gets flipped when we enter the spiritual world. What I mean to say is that the Pravritti Margis, don't really get a lot of association of devotees. Nivritti Margis do. But then, the idea of getting association of devotees is to enter Vrindavan. But now when you enter Vrindavan, who's the topmost devotees there? All of those who are engaged, the Pravrittis. Right, the Vrajavasis, they are all engaged, they are doing work, they have occupational duties, they are all engaged, but now that's the topmost. So the idea is, the issue is not about engagement. Right? The engagement is not the issue is how we can disengage from the material world. So that is the key focus, the disengagement from the material, not about the engagement. Right? One can stay engaged, be in family life, deal with the material world. But if they are somehow able to disengage from the whole material construct and engage with Krishna consciousness, now they are in the Nivritti Marga. Although they have family, but they are now actually in the Nivritti. So the Vrajavasis are all Nivritti Margis. Right? They are not interested in anything material. Full, complete Nivritti Margis. So, that understanding needs to come. So here, the first thing we see is that Narad Muni is talking to Brahmaji. He's getting close to Brahma because he's in the Nivritti Marga. So he gets to think, he gets to contemplate, he gets to visualize the world, and then doubt will come. Now, if Narad Muni is having a doubt, right, what we should understand is that we also have a doubt. All of us do. And the reason why this is important is that the purpose of getting us to read, to listen, right, to contemplate, right, Shravana, Kirtana and Smarana, all three, right, Shravana, Kirtana and Smarana. The push to get all these three things done is because by contemplating, all of us, right, we will get doubt. And then when we get the doubt, we can then go searching for the answer of the doubt. Now, in a doubt, there is very intriguing concept about a doubt. Sometimes we think, oh, I have a doubt, I must ask a question. No, sometimes a doubt may be in your heart for many days, many weeks, many months, many years, many lifetimes. Sometimes a doubt will stay, right? The idea is that if we don't try to resolve the doubt, so that is the key word, that we should always we should always try to focus on resolving the doubt. So if we are not able to resolve the doubt, then there is there is a fault in our journey. And so when I say fault, I'm not saying fault in a bad sense, or like look at the moon, it's faulty. Or no, not in that sense. Fault in the sense of it is not getting us to where we want. In that fault, that it is distracting. So this is something for us to consider, that in us contemplating the smarana, lot of doubts will come, right? And the main thing here is, in dealing with the world, many more doubts will come. So in the Shravana, Kirtana and Smarana, doubt is bound to show up. And the reason why I am focusing on this doubt is that because there is doubt, leeway should be provided. Usually when we are dealing with, let's say, managers, or we are dealing with, our superiors, right? We feel that they should not have doubt. They should be very clear in the answer. This is the answer. What's the problem? Why they're not giving doubt, or they're very flaky, or they're very, not steady. We get this feeling. But what we have to understand is that the other person, they are doing Shravana, they are doing Kirtana, they are doing Smarana. So yes, naturally doubts will come. So we have to learn to tolerate. And so this idea of tolerance should be both ways, right? The inferior to the authority, or the subservient to the authority. The subservient must be tolerant, and the authority to the subservient, the authority must be tolerant. Both sides. Why? Because doubt exists. Doubt exists. And then clarification of this doubt, that is the goal. Right? So we have to see this. The reason why I'm focusing on this is, sometimes if we think about anarthas. When you think of anarthas are actually doubts. When you look at the 10 anarthas, they are actually doubts. That's what they actually are. Not to blaspheme the devotee who's dedicated his life to preaching the glories of the holy name. We have a doubt. He's not actually a devotee. We have a doubt. Hang on. He's not a devotee. So the anarthas are actually doubts. And so the idea here is that when we are doing Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, doubts will come. So we have to resolve these doubts. Now, of course, let's say I am thinking in my own mind, right? I'm just trying to explain. I'm thinking in my own mind. I don't think this guy is a good devotee. Now, one way to solve the doubt is we do gossip. Prabhu, I don't think he's a good devotee. I think he's like this. You see, that is one way. Another way is to contemplate. Okay, why am I having these thoughts? Why? And actually, the second method is a better way to struggle, with this doubt. That why am I this constant struggle with the doubt that no, devotees are devotees. Devotees are good. Yes, sure. I am not able to fully visualize this person's devotion. That's my fault. You see, so you're trying to turn the doubt into a fault, but not the fault of the other, but rather one's own personal fault. And then saying that, okay, there is this fault. How to fix this fault? And sometimes fixing a fault may take years. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, this devotee is not good. In my own mind, I'm contemplating, oh, this devotee is not good. Then I'm like, okay, why are you having this doubt? I remember once in the temple, right? This was in Radha Gopinath temple at around from 5 o'clock onwards. There are devotees who will do, they do a service. I'm just trying to, I've forgotten the name of the service, but a paraphernalia service. Sorry, that's what it is. The paraphernalia service. So what they do is they will clean the aarti plates, set up the aarti plates, change the water for Krishna. So, they do certain activities. So one time it just so happened that I was doing the paraphernalia service. And so I'm just sitting and I was, cleaning. And I was washing Krishna's, if you see the altar of Radha Gopinath, you will see that there are cups filled with water and there are jugs for Krishna. So I was cleaning that. And I was cleaning that and I was thinking, I was just, in my own mind thinking, oh, I don't think this devotee is very nice. I don't think this devotee is doing the right thing. In my own mind, I'm contemplating, right? In my own mind. Now, at that point, what happens is there's one devotee, Rasa Krishna Prabhu. Now, probably newer devotees may not know him, but he was a Bengali devotee. He was a very simple devotee. Very simple, right? He was not philosophically minded, right? He was very simple. He liked to do kirtan. Suddenly, for some reason, for whatever reason, he comes to me and say, Prabhu, I have a very nice shloka. I said, yes, Prabhu, please tell me the shloka. And he says, Kutastva kashmalam idam, vishame samupastitam, anaryam gastvam asvargyam, akirti karam arjuna. So when he told that shloka, I was just taken aback. Because this shloka is the very first shloka Krishna tells Arjuna. This is in chapter 2. This is, I think, the second shloka. Second shloka. Right? This is the first shloka Krishna tells Arjuna when Arjuna decides to become disciple of Krishna. Arjuna takes the position of disciple. So Krishna tells Arjuna, Kutastva kashmala midam. Kashmala. Where from has this dirt come up in your heart? Dirt and doubt. Same thing. Kashmala, doubt, dirt. I'm using the word dirt because I had dirt in me. So that's why I'm paraphrasing. I'm not exactly quoting. I'm paraphrasing. Whereas this dirt come upon you. Vishame samupastitam. Right? In this place of the great assembly. So, I am in the, early morning doing paraphernalia. So I'm in a great assembly. Right? When you are near to Radha Gopinath, you are in a great assembly. Right? In a very great assembly. So, it is Vishame Samupa, Anaryam Gastvam Aswargyam. He says this is Anarya, okay, and this will lead you to Aswargya, will lead you to hell. Right? Anaryam Gastvam Akirti Karam Arjuna. And this will be your infamy, Akirti, my dear Arjuna. So Krishna is telling this to Arjuna. And the reason why I am sharing this is, at that very time, when Krishna is seeing that, okay, this fellow, he is doing, instead of doing kirtan, he is doing akirtan. Instead of doing kirtan, instead of glorification, he is doing defamation. So Krishna is saying, via media, Gopinath is saying, hey, what nonsense is this? And then at that time I was saying, I looked at Prabhu and I said, yeah, Prabhu, it's a very nice shloka. And just at that time I was thinking, what nonsense was I doing? I'm here trying to serve. I need to get this thought out of my mind. So the idea here is this constant struggle of doubt. We have to look at our doubt, and our doubts actually form into our anarthas. Right? We have to convert these and say that actually these are self-faults, or these are faults in me, somehow I need to fix them. Right? And so this struggle will be very nice. This is, help us in our journey in Krishna consciousness. So now here Narad Muni, he's having this doubt, and this doubt that he's having, he's thinking, let me go to my father and resolve this. And so here also you will see this aspect of having a familiar relationship in such a way that you can ask somebody a doubt. Now Narad Muni is, he's a Nashtika Brahmachari, and Brahmaji, from what we can understand, he is married. He's married to Saraswati. He has a fully engaged world. Nonetheless, Narad Muni is coming to Brahma and saying, "My dear Brahmaji, my father, I have a doubt." You see, so nice, right? Such a qualitative way of describing. Now, what we see, and the way Sukadeva Goswami presents this, is that this meeting of Narad Muni and Brahma is very nice. When I say very nice, means although they are father-son, Narad Muni can see Brahma's position. He is the father of the universe. Not just his father, but father of the universe. So then when he is approaching, he uses words like, oh chief amongst demigods, oh firstborn, right? Please, please remove my doubt. Please, please share your transcendental knowledge. And so this is interesting for us. And the reason why I say this is sometimes one may see one's guru, right? One may meet one's guru. Now, of course, there is a familiar relationship. He's our spiritual father. But we must also see that at the same time, he's a spiritual father of many. Is that making sense? Like, he's my spiritual father, but he's also the spiritual father of many. And so then, when, coming together, when you're going and meeting, then the way you deal with, you have to see the grandness of the position, And at the same time, you have to see the closeness of the position. So the personality is grand because he has so many. At the same time, there is closeness, so one can resolve his doubt. So this atmosphere, and if one is able to create the atmosphere in one's mind, then one can deal very nicely, both with devotees, with non-devotees, and then with one's superior. So Krishna encourages Uddhava in Canto 11 that you must deal with superiors with great devotion. You must deal with equals with great love. When I come to temple, I see devotees doing service, cleaning the temple. See devotees sitting there, spending time. Cooking for Ekadashi. Nowadays there's Ekadashi club going on, so they're cooking for Ekadashi club. So all of that is actually very glorious. So even when you're meeting somebody who's compatriot, you see that loving thing. Oh, this is such a glorious service. And then of course, if you see some young, you may see children and all, you appreciate them. Like I appreciate the kids when I see the kids here in the temple. I'm thinking, yeah, these guys, here under the shelter of Radha Gopinath, they are amazing devotees, these kids. So that will help a very nice mood. So anyway, we come to the story where Sukadev Goswami is telling of Narad and Brahma. So he's explaining how Narad is very nicely glorifying his father. Like he doesn't say my dear, he does come to that my dear father, but he first says that you have a great position. Now I have some doubts. And he's saying, my doubt is about this material world. He says, I can see that this material world, from what I can observe, has been created by you. Right? But I'm trying to figure this out. That is there actually something else? Is there someone else who is creating this? Is there someone else who's maintaining this? Now you have to appreciate, why does Narad Muni have this doubt? The reason Narad Muni has this doubt is he's able to see that even Brahma is being maintained. You see that? Are you catching that? He's able to see that even Brahma is being maintained. He's able to see that even Brahma, like Brahma's age is going. So he's able to see that, my father's age is, moving. And so because he can observe this, so then he's asking, but is there some other background? Is there some other controller? You see, so what a meditative question. He's observing the world, he's observing his father, he's reckoning, and at the same time he's contemplating, but there must be something else, because I can see this certain personality, he's changing, like he's affected by time, right? So you'll see this concept of time is something that he touches on, Narad Muni, when Narad Muni says that this universe is it was created in the past, there is a present and then there is a future. And he's saying that I can see you are controlling this, this aspect, but nonetheless, what is the source of all of this? He's asking his father, my dear father, what is the source of your knowledge? You see how interesting this is? Whereas when you will see conversations with Krishna, like, conversations with Lord Krishna, you will see in Bhagavad Gita, conversations with Krishna, you will see in Uddhava Gita, right? Direct conversations with Krishna. You will see that no one is going to ask Krishna that, my dear Krishna, what is the source of your knowledge? Because it is understood that Krishna is the source of that knowledge. So if you can catch that difference, it's very amazing. So then when Brahma is asked this question, Brahma, goes into a meditative mode, and then he actually presents. So it was the time. Just checking the time. Okay. Some messages have come through. Just checking everything is okay. Yep. Meditative. Brahma goes into a meditative mode, and then he actually replies to Narad Muni and says, my dear Narad Muni, you have asked questions, right? And these questions are inspiring me to present to you the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now Brahma does not feel bad. Actually, okay. Giving class. Yeah, thank you. So Brahma does not feel bad, right? He doesn't. Okay, Brahma does not feel bad, he doesn't, say that, oh, how come you're not accepting what I said? Right? And this state, or how come you don't accept what I said, I usually get into this trap. Sometimes I'm telling my son to do something, like, right now I was telling, Mukunda, please don't come in here. Right? I get into that trap because I told you. You see, you get into that trap. I told you. I told you about this. Why are you not doing? So we get into that trap. But what Narad Muni is observing is that Brahma is not getting into that trap. In fact, Brahma, what he's doing is he's saying, yes, actually, there is someone else. It's not like because I said, oh, because, my dear Narada, I created. No, he's saying, no, actually, there is someone else. There is someone else, and then I'm going to explain that someone else to you. So this way of presenting is very nice. And in fact, if this style of presentation is used in standard communication, devotees, non-devotees, through any cycle, you will see that it's a more sober conversation that you will have. That it's not like, what do you call, Prabhu, why can I not do this? Not because I told you. No, actually, Prabhu, in the current situation, the way we are dealing with this, there is this and this, and based on this situation, this is the pathway that we are taking. There might be some faults, but right now we are thinking, this is where our energy goes. So that presentation and that style, that is much better, because what it's showing is it is giving a glimpse into why one is making a decision. Are you getting? It gives a glimpse. It's not like you have to explain the whole process. You just have to give a glimpse that actually because of this, and this. These are the things, in contemplating these things, this is the way we are going. Right? So if you give someone a glimpse, then the person feels like, okay, some other thought process has been put in. It's not a blind, it's not a blind decision. And so then that should give some satisfaction. It should give some satisfaction. So here Brahma, he is giving that glimpse to Narada. Right? And if you see as the journey of this Canto 2 goes, finally Brahma gives Narad Muni the glimpse, the original glimpse that he got, Brahma got, of the spiritual world. So when he starts talking of the Chatushlokis, like when Lord Narayana, Lord Krishna, he's telling him these shlokas. So he's giving him the glimpse of what he heard, and gives him the glimpse of the spiritual world. So you can see how Brahma is also following the same method. And so we can observe this and we can say, oh yes, this method works. Now Brahma is the topmost, so Brahma cannot say, why are you asking that? Because I did it. Because I did it. Why are you asking? I told you. The buck stops here. No, he's actually presenting, no, the buck doesn't stop here. I might be holding the buck. But the decision got made because of A, B, C, and D. And having that collective view gives nice solace. Yeah. So here we'll see, now Lord Brahma get into this conversation about how Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of God. And then Brahma starts presenting that, Narayana and Vasudeva. So he starts picking on this Purusha avatar feature. And then what he does is he starts explaining the process of creation. So from this chapter 5, from 5, 6 and 7, we get a summary of the presentation of this cosmology. Like a very good summary of it. And in chapter 5, not Canto, in chapter 5, we will see Brahma give a synopsis of how this material manifestation occurs. And Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he, in great detail goes into this Shrishti Tattva. And he explains how this Shrishti formation takes place in great detail. Right? So if you remember, yesterday we were talking about the 3 modes. And so you see this concept of 3, repeating. And we will also see that, this concept of 3 is there in our quality of the soul, Sat, Chit and Ananda. So the 3 modes are there to cover this 3 qualities, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Hence the 3. So we need to cover the Sat, we need to cover the Chit, and we need to cover the Ananda. So then you get the 3 modes. And so then these 3 gunas, they take many forms. Like many, you could, if you actually make a table, I was thinking of, doing a presentation, but then when I realized we can't share, then I thought, okay, what's the point of spending? But I was going to draw a nice table and explain that, okay, there are these three, and then, how these three take various forms, right? So, in the most basic, when you say rawest stage, in the most rawest stage, it takes the principle of sambandh, abhideya, and prayojana. Right? This is like relationship, the process, and the goal. Or sambandham, probably I shouldn't use the word relationship, more field, knowledge, knowledge, the field, sambandha, abhideya, the process, and then goal. Okay, what is the next result? And so then, in this sambandha, abhideya, prayojana, it gets transferred into, as you go down the creative process, it'll start, it gets into jnana, or Srila Prabhupada writes this as, knowledge, jnana, kriya, the activities, and matter. So this becomes our sambandh, the knowledge of the material world. Abhideya, the activities we do in the material world, and then prayojana, and then the goal is to stay in the matter, to stay in the material world. And so you will see at the core of these three, we will see that, whatever I am explaining to you, I have heard from Bhaktivedanta Purna Maharaj, and the way he presents this, and it's really eye-opening when he presents this and he explains this Srishti Tattva. And then as he presents, you start realizing so many things as he's, it starts connecting all the dots. Oh, I had read this, and all the dots start connecting. And so, it's quite amazing. I encourage all of devotees, if you get a chance, please listen to, Maharaj's lectures. There is this website, the Seminary Bhaktivedanta Academy, and Maharaj's all lectures are there. When you listen to those lectures, it feels like you're in Gurukul. For all my life, I had thought that, I missed out. And even now, what all my life, even now I'm feeling I missed out. I have always missed out. You see, I always feel like that. I have always missed out. I never get to the core. I always miss out. And so then by listening at least to Maharaj's classes, I get that feeling, oh yeah, if I was in Gurukul, this is how I would have understood it. You see, you get a taste. So Krishna always fulfills your desire, right? Whatever the age, but your desire gets fulfilled, right? So by listening to that, that some little desire in the heart gets fulfilled. So Bhaktivedanta Purna Maharaj explains this process so amazingly. He says that there are 4 Chaturvyuha forms of Krishna. Okay, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva. Right? This SPVA. Just remember the order, right? Shankarshan, Pradyumna, Vasudeva, Aniruddha. SPVA. I first said SPA. If you think of SPA, just add the V, right? SPVA. So Shankarshan and Pradyumna form part of Sambandh. Vasudeva forms part of application or Abhideya. And Aniruddha forms part of goal. Okay? And so Prayojana. So the Chaturvyuhas take these 4 positions. And then what happens is, as part of this creative process, the first thing that happens is Shankarshan. Right? He enters the material and he lies down in the causal ocean. So he does the first sarga. The first, the word Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur uses is Karana Shrishti, means the cause of this creation. Huh? Shh, what are you doing, Baba? In the class, why are you saying? Go now. Why are you sharing like this? Sorry. I don't know, he scared me. I don't know when he entered. Close the door, Baba. This is the last time I'm speaking at home. Next time we'll do it at temple. Anyway, this series I thought, okay, I've started at home, I'll finish it at home, but next time we'll be back at Gopinath if I ever get a chance again. Yeah, so we see Sankarshana, he's coming down and he's lying in this causal ocean, right? So Sankarshana takes the position of Mahavishnu or Karanodakshai Vishnu, hence the name Karana Shrishti, means he is the cause of this creation. He is the Karana Shrishti, he is the causal position. And so when Sankarshana is lying down, right, we will see this concept of taking 3 bodies. So the Karana Sharira, Sankarshana, right? Then you have the Linga Sharira, and then you have the Stula, right? So you will have the most subtle, and then gross. So within Sankarshana, when he lies down, you will see the subtle will be the left side, And Bhaktivedanta Pur Maharaj explained that the left side generally points to the spiritual world. So when Mahavishnu is lying down, his left side is actually pointing to the spiritual world. And then his left side is pointing to, and then his right side is then pointing to the material. And so he was explaining that that's why generally in all the Vishnu temples you'll see Krishna lying down. Usually you'll see him lying down. They will show from left to right. Right, his head will be up there. Sorry, he's lying down in that form, and then usually his left side is talking spiritual, and his right side is talking material. So that's an interesting concept for us to contemplate on. And you will see from the left side will come Sadashiva. So that is angling up to the spiritual, and from the right side will come Hiranyagarbha. Right, so that is the gross form in this state. And so this forms part of the very first principle of creation. And then from his vision will come Shambhu. And so this Shambhu that first comes out, that is actually Vishnu, is the form of Vishnu. Right? So we have to understand that when sometimes somebody is saying that I have read in this Purana that Shambhu is the greatest. In one sense, how all of this comes together for us as Vaishnavas, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That is why our philosophy is called Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Right? We can see the Bheda and we can see the Abheda. So the Bheda is that yes, Shambhu is a different personality. Right? And so what usually a Shaivite will consider as Shiva being topmost, he's thinking as Shiva as the Jiva who's taken that position. No, when it is being said that Shiva is topmost, he's not talking about that. He's actually talking about Shambhu, the original, who's the Vishnu form. Right? So, that understanding once we get. So it is Shambhu that enters Pradhana. So this material manifestation is just like a primordial soup. So through Lord Shankarshana's vision, right, Shambhu will enter Pradhana. Pradhana gets agitated. Because when a husband, and Pradhana is considered like Durga Devi, and husband is, Shambhu. When they get attached, there is agitation, and then there is product. So Lord Shambhu's or Shankar's product is Shankara. So from Shankarshan, right? You will see Lord Shankar come out, which is Shambhu, and then his products are Shankaras. So Varna Shankaras, if you remember that word. So then we are the Shankaras. So then we get impregnated into the material world. Right? So that's how the Jiva gets impregnated into the material world. So now you're impregnated in the material world. Now we are dabbling in this material world. So that amazing presentation is being given here. Right? I suppose without a picture it's hard for you to contemplate, but if you can just imagine this, we have Shankarshana on top, right? The first Chaturvyuha. He then creates Shambhu, who enters Pradhana. From Pradhana will come Mahat, right? So this Mahat, right? From this Mahat, we will have the agitation, and there is a breakaway of this into Ahankar, and then from this Ahankar we'll start getting the first produce of this cosmos. So from that will come Adi Deva, Adi Atma, and Adi Bhuta. The three, again you'll see this three concept come up, right? So this is the Jnana, Kriya, and Dravya, which Srila Prabhupada mentions. He mentions knowledge, activities, and matter. So Jnana, Kriya, and Dravya. Dravya meaning this Bhuta. So Dravya Shakti. So whenever we use this term Dravya Shakti, we are talking about this entire material manifestation, including our body. This is the Dravya Shakti of Krishna. So that becomes Shankarshana, right? And so if you think of this Adi Deva, Adi Atma, Adi Bhuta principle, the best way to remember this, right, or to understand this, is think of it as a sandwich. And once you understand the sandwich analogy, you will understand this principle very easily, right? To hold a sandwich, you need the base of let's say there's a burger, right? You got a big burger, soya burger, vegetarians, right? So soya burger, and so in every burger there is a base, right? So this base is the Dravya Shakti or the Adi Bhuta, and they use the term Dravya and Bhuta means material things. So in this base, you get the formation of the sense perceptions, the tanmatras, the sense perceptions, and then the sense elements. What are the elements that help in these perceptions? So there is the perceptions, and then there is the elements. So the perception and the elements are called the tan matras, and so these tan matras form, and then they create the base of the sandwich. Then once the base of the sandwich is created, obviously there's a top of the sandwich, and the top of the sandwich should always look very nice, because when you think of the picture, right, the top is always shown. And whenever you think of a picture of subway picture, always the top of that sandwich or the burger is shown, right? So the top is always attractive. So this top is called Adi Deva. So Adi Bhuta, the bottom slice of the sandwich. Adi Deva, the top slice of the sandwich, and this Adi Deva, it creates the mind, and it creates the demigods, right? And so these guys, they are called the Adi Daiva. So you can use the word Daiva and you can understand that's the top. Then the middle of the sandwich, the crux. Just checking the time. I've got 10 minutes. The crux of the sandwich. This crux of the sandwich is Adhyatma, or where the intelligence and then all the, the intelligence and the senses, they take place. And so think of the Adi Atma as actually representing the Jiva who's actually doing work. So the Adi Bhuta is mode of ignorance, right? That is the first. The Adi Deva is mode of goodness, and then the Adi Atma is mode of passion. So then this forms the first sandwich of the first creation coming out of Shankarshan. And so this sandwich, if you think of the sandwich, right, this, rather than sandwich, a burger, because the burger kind of looks like a universe. It has a shape, elliptical shape. So this burger is what gets expanded into each universe, or what the term that is used is the golden egg, right? So these are all the golden eggs of each universes. Then impregnated into each of these universes is Pradyumna. So Pradyumna then becomes the Karya Shrishti. So Karya Shrishti means Karana Shrishti is Shankarshana, right, or Karnodakshayi Vishnu. Then when you enter into the womb, into the egg, right, into the universe, so like we are in a universe, we are in a womb, right, into that now is Karya Shakti. Okay, that Karya Shakti is now, sorry, I apologize, Karya Shrishti, and that Karya Shrishti is Pradyumna or Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, because it's in the shape of a Garbha. Garbha means a womb, like so, like an embryo, because it's in the shape of an embryo. And so sitting under that is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, right? The one who is sitting in the Garbhoka ocean or in the embryonic fluid, right? So that is Pradyumna. So Sankarshan, Pradyumna, they form part of the Sambandh Gyan, or what we would call as the field, the knowledge, the relationship. So they build this place so we can relate to it, right? Once that situation is done, then within each, then you have Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. So Garbhodakshayi Vishnu's subtle form is Hiranyagarbha, and his gross form becomes Vairaja. So this Vairaja form, when we do Purusha Shukta, we say like Sahasra Shirsha, Purusha, Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat. So we are saying 1,000 heads, 1,000 arms, 1,000 eyes. So when we are saying all of this, we are actually talking about the Vairaja form of Vishnu. So that is the gross form, right? And then when you think of Brahma, so whenever you hear the term Brahma, sometimes they are talking about the Vairaja form of Vishnu. So that's why you will sometimes see in Shastras, they say Brahma is the topmost. But actually that they're not talking about the Jiva who has taken the position of Brahma. They're actually talking about Hiranyagarbha or Vairaja. Right? They're talking about these two who are Vishnu Tattvas. They are the Vishnu forms. Right? So when we understand all of this, we start seeing, oh, okay, now you can understand in Shastra why sometimes they will say Lord Shiva is supreme, or Shambhu is supreme, Shankar is the supreme, or why Brahma is supreme. They're not actually talking about the Jivas who take these positions. They're actually talking about Vishnu in the form of Brahma, in the form of Shiva. Right? Vishnu in that form. So this is the Guna Avatar. So that is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, right? Now what happens is within each of these universe, in every atom, we will see Paramatma. So that's Vasudev, because that's application. So what I mean by application is, for this world to function, right? In every atom there must be Paramatma, so that every atom gets energy. right? One of the greatest things in science is, right? They're trying to figure out how come this, proton, neutron, where are they getting this energy from? They have energy. So where is that energy coming from? Paramatma. And so that form of Paramatma is Vasudev. So Vasudev is that form, right? And then finally, there is the goal. So the goal meaning the beauty of this material world. So amazing, such a beautiful praise. Like now you're seeing the end result. That is Aniruddha. And so that is Shirodakshayi Vishnu, or the one who lives in the milk ocean, Shira ocean, right? So that's Shirodakshayi Vishnu. So this forms the four Chaturvyuhas. This is how this creation takes place. So we will see Brahma touch upon this at a very high level. He'll touch, and Srila Prabhupada also mentions all of this in the purports, right? He will touch upon this, and he will say this is how Karana Shrishti takes place. This is how Kriya Shrishti takes place, and then finally he says, he talks about how once all of this is done, then how Vasudev will come in and then make this entire world function. And so when we are able to observe this, so Vasudev, the form of Vasudev is very powerful. And so Bhakti Vidya Purna Maharaj made an amazing point, like a really amazing point. When if you just consider this for a moment, it's truly mind-boggling. Good, I have enough time. It is truly mind-boggling, this idea that he's saying that in Sambandh Abhideya Prayojana, all of us want to get to the goal. So Sambandh is Madan Mohan, Abhideya is Govinda, Govindaji, and then Prayojana is Gopinath. Right? So, these are the three main deities. So, he was explaining that we all want Gopinath. Right? We all want Gopinath, the shelter. Right? We all want Gopinath. We want the goal. But he was explaining that what is it that you want in the goal? You want the Govinda in Gopinath. Does that make sense? When we get to goal, when we get to Gopinath, right? What is it that we want to do? What is the thing we want? We want to do activities with Gopinath. Does that make sense? And so the result of that, coming to the goal with Gopinath is that we want to see the Abhideya in the Prayojana. So if you can catch that, I may not be presenting it nicely, so that is my fault. But if you can somehow catch that, you're all intelligent. If you can catch this idea that in the goal, it is the activity that we are interested in. Like, for example, you're thinking, okay, right now travel ban is there, but when travel ban opens up, I'm going to go to Europe, or I'm going to go to the Fiji Islands, or I'm going to go to this place or that place. That's the goal. But the idea is that once you get to that place, you want to do activities. So if you can catch that. So that although we are, interested in Gopinath, what we are really interested is in Govinda. So in the Gopinath aspect, we are interested in Govinda. So if you can appreciate that, that's quite amazing. So that is Bhakti Yoga. That is why Bhakti Yoga is so amazing. That when it gets to the goal, right, it is the activity in that goal. So Bhakti Yoga is Bhakti, or the process of Bhakti is topmost. So yeah, I will end here. It's 8:30. This chapter is very, very philosophical. It talks about so many aspects. I've tried to summarize it as much as I could. Right? I didn't want, because it is story format, I didn't want to get too philosophical, but unfortunately my brain works like that. An engineer's brain always tries to put things in boxes. So, I like to put things in boxes and see how it works. So yeah, I know I switched a little philosophical as well. But if you appreciate this construct of Brahma's conversation with Narada, then as you see the next chapters roll out, you will see how phenomenal this knowledge of Bhagavatam is. Like phenomenal. The aspect of time is explained. I skipped on it. The aspect of sound vibration. But these are all being explained in great detail. So yes, we'll end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Gaur Bhaktavrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.